Hi there, I'm Dave Landsman of Western Digital, and I want to talk to you about the DNA data storage track that's coming at the Software Developer Conference, September 12th through 15th. I call the track Quenching the Thirst for Digitization because the reason we're talking about DNA data storage is really because the world is trying to digitize all forms of information at an unprecedented rate. And we want to save that data and be able to mine it for new knowledge. And all of this data creates a need for storage, hence discussion of DNA. So why are DNA bits cool? So DNA bits, first of all, and fundamentally are very small. If we look at the picture on the left side of the screen here, this is an LTO tape cartridge. And if we filled the spatial volume of that cartridge with DNA bits, we could hold up to 2 exabytes of data in that cartridge. That is like over 100,000 LTO tapes. So this just gives you a sense of the scale of DNA storage. Other things that are cool about DNA is that DNA bits last a really long time. Think woolly mammoths. You've all heard about that, recovering DNA from fossils. DNA bits don't need much care and feeding. And again, kind of think of the woolly mammoth. DNA has survived in the environment for a long time. But even if you use DNA for data storage and you refine it and put it in a controlled environment, the environmental requirements of storing DNA are much less rigorous than, say, than forms of magnetic storage and tapes as they are today. So it's a And lastly, DNA bits don't need migration. So you don't have to keep updating them to the next generation of technology every few years, which gets harder and harder as the volumes in the libraries get bigger. So all this adds up to a nice TCO story for DNA. And the last thing is that DNA benefits from and will accelerate, DNA data storage will benefit from and accelerate established investment in DNA technology for health and scientific purposes. And over the last few decades, there's been a tremendous investment in academia and industry for DNA in these first two fields. And now we will add DNA data storage as another driver of the evolution of this technology. So even after all this good stuff, there are questions about DNA. Is there really a need for a medium as dense as DNA? So on that point, Aaron Ogus of Microsoft Azure is going to do a keynote on the day after the DNA track. And he's going to talk about the looming need for molecular storage. Really, why do we need this step? Other questions are, can we scale the underlying technologies? I mean, there are definitely fundamental problems that need to be solved and scaled with DNA synthesis and sequencing in particular to make DNA storage a commercial reality. And lastly, how do we create an interoperable DNA data storage ecosystem? If we get over the technology hurdles, we need DNA storage systems that plug and play with existing parts of the storage system we know today. So our track is going to try and address some of these, in particular the last two questions, and maybe some other topics. So I'll continue with an update. I'll start out with an update of creating the DNA data storage ecosystem and a little bit of a tutorial about DNA data storage. Joel Christner of Dell will talk about standard format to enable the decoding of information in a DNA data archive, kind of a bootstrap process, maybe a master root record. Alessia Morelli and Rino Micheloni, the CTO and COO respectively of DNA Algo, will talk about their DNA simulator, which allows developers to explore the DNA data channel, the error properties of different solutions. João Gervasio and Adriano Galindo Leal, researchers at Lenovo IPT, will talk about a DNA coding overview to discuss how much progress has been made in the last 10 years on coding algorithms for DNA storage. Zhao Reis and Marila Menosi, also researchers at Lenovo IPT, will talk about an end-to-end data storage experiment or prototype that they did. And then finally, Luca Piantanida, a research scholar at Boise State University, will talk about nucleic acid memory using new microscopy techniques to improve it. So join us at SNIA STC for the DNA data storage track, and it'll be great. It's on Monday. Hope to see you there. Thanks.